Hello, my wonderful audience out there. Welcome to the Grammar Club India. Today, the Grammar Club India presents an introduction of the English grammar. The topic of the day is what are determiners, kinds of determiners in English, brief introduction to determiners and its usage. So, without much further ado, let's get started with the basics. We've included an acronym for your easy understanding. DOQ-PNIAD. Let us have some introduction to determiners. Determiners or determine. To discover the facts about something. What's the limits noun determined into a class? Reference to noun is general or specific object, person, or place. Kinds of determiners in English are of 8. They are possessives, demonstratives, numbers, ordinals, quantifiers, distributives, interrogatives, and articles. Possessives: my, your, our, their, his, hers, whose, my friends, our friends, its, etc. The demonstratives includes this, that, these, those, which. From numerals part, we have 3 kinds. Here we have included that's already clubbed up into one group called numerals. And segregation is that numbers, ordinals, and quantifiers. Numbers includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 40, and such like those kinds of numbers. Ordinals: first, second, last, next, etc. The quantifiers: few, a few, many, much, each, every, some, any, none, etc. All the distributives: each, either, neither, all, half, every, both. Interrogatives: WH words: what, which, whose, etc. And articles, those are also called the verbal adjectives, also articles, a and the. The types of determiners used depends on the type of noun. Single noun always needs a determiner. Plural nouns or uncountable nouns, determiner is optional. Determiners. In British English, most restrictive clauses start with who, which, or that. American English, however, don't like using which to start a restrictive clause. They prefer of using for restrictive clause is the word that. Some people won't like you using that for people, although it's not wrong. As a general rule, who is used of people, and which for animal, and that are for used of things. However, it's not uncommon to see that used with person or people. Some of the determiners we have included and had been worked out here. Some of the apples are rotten. Some. She is reading a book, or any name. Sita is reading a book. Samson is reading a book. Okay, so the dog you fed is outside. You must remember, it's worth saying at this point that never starts a non-restrictive clause, not in British English or in American English. So you will never get comma before an adjective clause that starts with that. That is restrictively and strictly for restrictive clauses. Now we take one example. This is an example of restrictive clause, the defining clause. The boy who broke the window is at the door. The shaded text here is restrictive clause. It describes the boy. More importantly, though, it identifies the boy. It's not just additional information, it's essential for understanding. With the restrictive clause, you create more natural sounding sentence by removing the who, that, or which. The dog that you fed is outside. Using that with restrictive clause is okay for Brits, means Britons, or the British English, and Americans. So the dog you fed is outside. This is also okay for all, and it sounds natural. Our main focus is that we must make English sentences as it sounds normal and natural. A clause that identifies the word it modifies. Restrictive clause: the man who lives next door won the lottery. This is necessary to identify the man. Here it is restricting or defining the man who has won the lottery is living next door. So no commas. This is restrictive clause. Now if we just compare with non-restrictive clause, Tim Smith who lives next door, you have comma. This commas will create separation, and separation of only not separation but separation of the ideas. Tim Smith is a person who lives next door. Someone is saying Tim Smith is a person who lives next door and won the lottery. So he has won the lottery. That means it is non-restrictive, non-defining. Just additional information it gives about Mr. Tim Smith. So commas are needed for non-restrictive clauses. Key points to be noted here: don't put commas around a restrictive clause. 1. That's essential for identification. Remember, if you would happily delete your clause, then it's non-restrictive clause. It's not a restrictive clause, and should be opposite with commas. Don't start a restrictive clause with which. If you were American or writing to Americans, use that instead. Use who, not that, for people. Using that isn't a grammatical crime, but who is a bit sharper. You can often reduce the word count and create more natural sounding sentences by omitting a which, that, or who at the start of a restrictive clause. Sometimes with that option, and sometimes it's best achieved with nothing option. The mouse that the cat and the dog chased ate the cheese. Here it's again with that option, the mouse that the cat that the dog chased ate the cheese. It's still a tough sentence to follow, but using that option helps to unpick it. The most common decision you will have to make is whether to include or omit a that. If including the that makes your sentence clear, use it, otherwise avoid it. Buying foods from the farmers that I know adds that human element that I love. But we can use this one. I prefer using this. Buying food from farmers that I know adds human element I love. Tip number 1. A non-restrictive clause can be omitted from the sentence. It doesn't affect the sentence structure. Tip number 2. A comma is placed before the word which. Key points to be noted here: don't put commas around a restrictive clause. 1. That's essential for identification. Remember, if you would happily delete your clause, then it's non-restrictive clause. It's not a restrictive clause, and should be opposite with commas. Don't start a restrictive clause with which. If you were American or writing to Americans, use that instead. Use who, not that, for people. Using that isn't a grammatical crime, but who is a bit sharper. You can often reduce the word count and create more natural sounding sentences by omitting a which, that, or who at the start of a restrictive clause. That versus which. As we already discussed when to use that and when to use which. That is used with restrictive clause, defining, specifying, essential phrases, or restrictive phrases are phrases that are essential to the sentence. Which is used for non-defining with additional information and non-restrictive phrases. Non-restrictive phrases are phrases that are non-essential information, non-defining information, a much, many, and many. Much is used for quantity, although abstract ideas, mass nouns, or non-count nouns. Many are used for numbers, and many means several incidents in different time with singular verb agreement. I've sold on the false colors many times, several in different times. I'm joking, but you know, many true, a word spoken is just. The children were about to leave was very emotional with many a moist eye on both sides. He has written many a post that made me think. He regarded by many as an arch-conservative, an enemy of post-war democratic reforms. Education had played a pivotal role in economic development of many countries. Following many complaints, the town streets and litter bins are receiving more attention in the past week. For many years, he had lived with chains in a house that they share in Washington. Today, many moviegoers have become psychologically illiterate. Before the enemies could do too much damage, he used a hidden gun to blast the enemies away. Those books provide as much information as possible, readably and reliably. A much larger area at the north end of the lake is approximately 24 meters deep. Think how much important education is for our children than it was for us. Less and fewer. Less are used uncountable or bulk quantity. Fewer is a countable in nature, number. They found ways to get better results with less work. James has less than 20 rupees left in his wallet. There were fewer staff present in our office today. He has run fewer races yet. Some, any, used in interrogatives. Both are used in interrogatives. Both could be countable and uncountable. While some is used in affirmative, any in negative or nil, are used in affirmative to show emphasis. She has some apples. She hasn't any rice. That means she don't have any rice. Do you sell any Japanese products? Would you like to see some TV shows now? How was Kuala Lumpur? Any contracts? We made some good contacts. Have you any pictures of the new designs? Unexpected. Any fool can do it. Each, every. The difference between these two. Each used for two or more person or things. Every is for more than two person or things, both used with singular verb agreement. Each of these cases would be an opportunity for a missed deadline. At each study site, we plotted the location of all nest predators. Each day comes just once in a lifetime. Each shot is important. Each chapter begins with an explanatory introduction. Every child deserves a home and love. Every man here needs to check his gear before the competition. Every age has its beautiful moments. Every rose has its thorns. Now let's look at the determiners. All, whole. Well, all is its number and a quantity, plural in sense. Whole is used for completeness or complete or entire. Some examples are: be gentle to all. All means here the people. Experience is the teacher of all things. Like all lawyers, they are required to act as officers of the code. A single lie destroys the whole reputation of integrity. The great king besought heaven and earth to make his daughter whole again. Little, a little, the little, same as few, a few, the few. Some of the examples he has: little money, not much money, but little money, some money. Little knowledge is dangerous thing. Life is a little gleam of time between two eternities. Little words hurt big ideas. Only little people pay taxes. The little man is still a man. Those of little faith are of little hearted. Sympathy could release little lightness to the burning heart. Either means negative, both or one, and neither means positive, singular, not either, none. Remember, speaking of more than two persons or any none should be used. Neither cast your pearls before swine. Success is not permanent, neither is failure. Luckily, neither of them is insurmountable. It is neither our intention to take him out. Don't judge a book by its thickness either. The logical man must either deny all miracles. Calls with either code will work in the area 51. He isn't stupid, but he isn't exactly a genius either. Few, used as negative, not many, hardly any. It can be used as an adjective, a noun, or a pronoun. A few, which is used in case of affirmative or positive sentence construction. And some means it means some. The few, both negative, positive. The few means it could be both negative and positive. Not many, but all the number of options. A few honest men are better than numbers. Some men are honest than the other number of people. That means baseball is like church. Many attend, few understand. Men of few words are the best men. Few express enthusiasms about the current leaders. The few intellectuals are becoming fewer every year. It is one of the few essays to have survived to the present day. The few lies that I had come across were miserable ones. On the few patches of dry ground, tropical rattlesnakes lie low. Much, which is non-countable in nature, and many, countable in nature. Much is used as non-countable, means a lot, plenty, a good deal. While on the other hand, many, which is as countable, means lots, a large number, a good number. Some of the examples are: I don't have much money. How much money have you got? A short saying often contains much wisdom. How much of human life is lost in waiting? Nothing is so much to be feared as fear. Civilization degrades the many to exalt the few. Many attempts to communicate are nullified by saying too much. No whispered rumors which the many spread can wholly perish. Welcome back to some more restrictive clause or restrictive or defining clauses and rules for identification. Children who eat vegetables are likely to be healthy. If restrictive clause who eat vegetables were removed from the sentence, the intended limits on the noun children would be no more. Point out which children, from among the world's multitudes, perform a behavior likely to sustain their health. The lamp that Aunt Betsy gave me is on the bedside table. You write it to omit all relative pronouns. If you can do that successfully, the clause is definitely restrictive. The lamp Aunt Betsy gave me is on the bedside table. The book that she read was important for her literature review. This is restrictive in nature. The participants who were interviewed volunteered to be part of the study. This is also a restrictive clause. Who were interviewed? The student who sits in the back of the room asks a lot of questions. The suspect in the lineup who has red hair committed the crime. The person who taught the English class is a friend of my colleague. Some of the typical errors we find in the use of determiners as undergiven. We don't use apostrophe s after possessive pronouns. Are those globes her? This is right sentence. Well, this is not right, not one. Is marked in red color. Are those globes hers? This is wrong sentence. Apostrophe is not used with the possessive pronouns. It's, it is means, it's means, it, s means apostrophe s means it is. The team is proud of its ability to perform consistently well. This is a correct sentence. However, not correct sentence that is proud of its ability. It is, that means it apostrophe s, that means it is. We don't use now the determiner with the possessive determiner. I'm going to get haircut this afternoon. This is quite right sentence. Not this one. Get the my haircut. We don't use possessive determiners on their own. They are always at the beginning of noun phrases. That's not my book, it's yours, or it is your book, not it's your. I said earlier that it's it means here, the it apostrophe s means it is. We don't use possessive pronouns before nouns. Lots of our friends were at the party, not lots of our friends. It should be kinds. This kind of things, no, those types of shoes, it should be types. Some of the don'ts we need to follow while using determiners, his and her. Well, there's an issue with possessive adjective in English. We don't have singular non-gender specific noun that can be used with people. We have its, but you can't use its with people. Each owner is responsible for its tag. It can't be used with people. So when your singular person could be male or female, you have two options. Use their or use his or her. Each owner is responsible for their dog. Using their to replace a noun, singular noun, here owner is susceptible. This is the best option. Each owner is responsible for his or her dog. This is acceptable to some, but it's clumsy. There is to be a third option. Use his with a caveat, a warning or provision of specific stipulations, conditions, or limitations. Each owner is responsible for his dog. This is susceptible to all owners are male, if they are. If they are not, avoid this option, even with a caveat explaining that his means his or her. Use they to replace his or her. Always remember, if you are unsure whether to use its or it apostrophe s, it's your or you are, there or there are, or whose, expand it to the full version, such as it is or it has, you are, they are, who is, and or who has. If the sentence doesn't make sense, you should be using the first one. The positive adjectives, the version without the apostrophe. Thank you for being with us. Please like, share, and comment, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel, pressing the bell icon.